depends upon you, and not only Taiwan, the world community as well. So good luck to all of you, and yes, you can come to Shida as well. Since it's turned into a sales competition. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Aaron Divison. And now let's give our warmest welcome to Mr. Nathan Weather from Taipei Taixing School.
All right, so I can reiterate everything everybody else is saying. In fact, I'm going to create a little bit of a debate up here because I'm going to counter arguments some of my, no, not really. I'm going to clarify in the way I see some of the points that were given. The evidence cards is something that you really have to make sure that you have the best evidence that you can have, because that's going to support your argument. And I also, Danny and I were talking about how people were doing this cross-examination. Do you have evidence for that? Do you have evidence for that? Do you have evidence for that? And it was like the smallest little detail. Now, my positive comments will come later. I'm going to rip into you first, which is basically, this is a discussion about critical thinking. It's a discussion or a debate about being able to have logical reasoning. This is, you know, policy debate. We are not here necessarily just to argue who can research better, although the research is crucial, because that's going to give you the foundation and the backing if somebody challenges you. Now, the point that I would like people to be able to do is, if you're going to ask for evidence, Danny was saying, do something more with it. Well, yeah, do something more with it. But if you're asking for it, you better have a really good reason for wasting your time asking for evidence. Meaning, you know their evidence is wrong. If you say, oh, I have better evidence than their evidence, now ask for it so that you can then discredit it. But not just, I don't like how you said that, so do you have evidence for that? And that's a different mentality, because I might not have evidence for my exact statement, because my statement is reasoning from other pieces of evidence that can be logically put together. So if I have two pieces of evidence and I make an inference or a statement from that, my statement's still backed up by two pieces of evidence that I could put together in a logical way. Now, if you had a problem with the logic I'm using, that's what you should be questioning in a cross-examination. But in addition, there are a few times that people are saying, well, don't you agree that the death penalty should be abolished? No, they're not going to say they agree with you, no matter how many times, because they're the opposition, they're the negative. They're never going to agree with you. We just say, yes, you win. Okay? They're not going to do that. Don't ask that question. But instead, you can back them into a corner. And this is something that I actually saw, maybe not as skillfully as far as the debating skills overall, but I saw this done maybe a little more because it's a basic debate skill. And that's asking yes, no leading questions. There were a few yes, no questions. But it was a yes, no question, then moving on to a new question. Instead of a yes, no question that leads somebody down into a situation where now they're on some thin ice. They may not even see where they're being led by your first question. They may think, well, that's not important, or doesn't matter. But that question might lead them down a path to where they can be trapped. And those yes-no questions, I think a lot of times you're thinking that you have to hit every single point during the cross-examination. You don't. Choose your battles. And in your next speech, and by the way, I'm going to throw out a compliment. Every year, by the way, if we're comparing who's been here longest, I've been here 4 years. Only one who maybe can beat me is Charlotte and Ping and some of the others. But I've been here for a while. Every year, these speeches and the debate quality has gone up. Today, I was most impressed by every single one of the speeches, both the prepared ones, the first affirmative, but even from there on, every speech was pretty well-rounded. You maybe didn't connect perfectly, but hey, it's really hard to do that last minute. but I was very impressed with the level of the actual English as well as the reasoning behind your speeches. But when it came to the cross-examination, that's the one area that I really wish, and it's maybe the hardest, because you have to think on the fly. But think about, if you're going to use your time, is it worth challenging evidence or is it worth challenging the reasoning? Now this is policy debate, not that ethics don't come involved into it, particularly when we're talking about the harms, which has been now brought up. From the ethical standpoint, what harms are being done? That is a really good kind of thing that you can bring out. But to just say, well, it's wrong to kill somebody, now that turns into an ethical debate, which is not what we're trying to do. We are trying to do it where, yes, feelings and emotions play a part. Who is being hurt by this? And if you could, as was just mentioned, to play both sides and internalize this, being able to internalize the harm. I would love to say, if I was being hurt by this harm, would it matter to me? And if it does, I hope that when you give your speech, there's feeling. Not like, there are lots of people who are going to be hurt. It's like, okay, 43% of people don't agree with this, but 57 said it, they hate it. It's like, okay, does it matter? 57%, that's more than half are being hurt by this. You could be one of those 57. Now you're pulling on emotions. Now, it's not all about your emotions. You can't forget reasoning and the inference, connecting your information, but you also can't just leave emotion out of it. And I do think that we lost a little bit of that this year. You know, maybe it's because you're getting so good at your logic, and you're like, I know. Maybe I'm going to date myself, but everyone knows who Spock is from Star Trek. Okay, yes, Spock will win a debate, but he might not convince every judge because some judges get emotional. Okay? So you can use logic, but don't forget the emotions. They do play a part in it. All right, I'll get down. I know that you guys have had a long day. In fact, I'm watching some people with closed eyes who look like they've had a really long day. And because we're all giving plug-ins for different colleges, and I'm not at a college, but you know, I work and help with Shada quite a bit. So we'll see you there maybe.
Thank you, Mr. Nathan. And let's welcome Professor of English Department, National Taiwan Normal University, Dr. Chang Shaoru, to give us a few words.
Okay, Nate was talking about this is your fourth high school English debate tournament. Okay, in Taiwan. Okay, for me this is my 22nd. Altogether, yeah, winner. Okay. Thank you. So this is where my passion lies. As a member of the organizing committee for the national debate tournament as well as 2 other regional tournaments, I really believe a good tournament is like this open system, which is actually constantly evolving for the better. And I also believe that the participants, no matter it's the contestants, the coaches, the judges, can all have a say about how we can improve the tournament. The following is my vision, my personal vision for the tournament in the years to come. And I certainly welcome all of you to chip in your ideas as well. I think first, we need to really broaden the pool of the participating schools and eventually the scope of the competition. For example, we would really like to reach to the schools from the regions, the areas where so far we have none of the schools come to participate in the tournaments. For example, Keelung, Hsinchu, Jiayi, Pingdong, Taidong, so far none of the schools from those regions have come and give it a try. So if you happen to know someone who is studying or teaching in those areas, please spread the words for us. Okay, share the information, share your experience about our tournaments with them, and invite them to give it a try. It's not as difficult as they may have thought. And I believe your words will really carry a lot more weight than the electronic missives or the tournament posters that we send to them. Okay, so please do that for us if you can. Second, I think we really need to improve the fairness of our competition. One thing that comes to my mind is how we pair up the teams for the competition, and that this is particularly an issue at the regional level. Because sometimes we see the good teams, because we draw lots, and we see some good teams up against each other. And because of that, some strong teams fail to get a ticket, to come back and compete in the national debate, even though they really have outshined some of the winning teams at the regional level. So we want to make some changes to our rules, try to minimize the impact from the chance, the luck factor. Okay, so the teams that are doing really well will for sure get a ticket to come back to compete. Okay, so that's something that we're going to work on. And I think we also need to work on, particularly at the regional level, the quality of the judges. And I think you can see, I think you all agree with us, for the national, we really have very qualified judges. They're giving very helpful comments. But we need to do that for the national and for the regional level as well. So we can learn just as much as today, from the judges at the national level. And third, we think we need to elevate the quality of our competition. And what comes to my mind is that we can do this through the following.